Hello and welcome to the Empowered Wisdom Hour. It's the second week of September 2020 and I'm your host, Molly McCartney. For those who don't know me, I'm a spiritual life coach and wisdom channel with over 20 years of experience on the path. My mission is to help empower your wisdom and spiritual gifts so you can find peace no matter what you are dealing with. This week's mini episode is all about the strength that can be found in surrender. If you're following me on social media, you may have noticed a lot of this message coming forth this week. And the reason I chose this theme is because I always ask my higher guidance, my higher power, what my tribe needs to know. What do you need to know if you are following what I put out there, what I share with the world? We're on a similar frequency, at least a harmonic frequency. And when we're on that harmonic frequency, there are certain messages that can serve us being on that similar path. So maybe someone who's more in the space of conflict and argument and fighting to be successful and win at all costs may not understand this message. But for those of you who really seek peace, who are really ready to resonate with your inner self and that higher vibration of love and compassion that you know is available, well, here we go. Here's our lesson this week. I chose the Sweat Lodge card when I pulled my Oracle card for the week, and I've been pulling that card a lot for people this year. Oh my goodness. When it comes to repetitive cards, we have the Sweat Lodge, which means be patient in this temporary detoxification space. I pull the Spiral card a lot, which means you feel like you're going backwards, but you're really going upwards. Just keep walking up that spiral staircase. I pull the what's another one of patience? Can't remember right now, but there's other cards that basically say be patient, be patient, be patient. And the Sweat Lodge is one of them. So basically, if you think about the symbol of a sweat lodge in Native American culture, you would enter the Sweat Lodge as a ceremonial space. And it's very sacred, and you know that it's going to probably get uncomfortable as the fire, the hot coals are brought in, the hot rocks are brought in to steam up the tent and steam up the whole area to make you sweat, to make you detox. And you sit with that difficulty and that uncomfortability, if that's a word, that uncomfortableness, and allow whatever is going to arise in you for your conscious awareness to process and release. The same process happens in other ceremonies, whether you have ayahuasca ceremonies or other plant medicine ceremonies, or a simple meditation ceremony, or even a religious ceremony where there's prayer involved and release to your higher power. And I like to even cut it down smaller than that. You can have a single session with a hypnotist, a coach, an NLP coach, to go through and work out those places in your mind that you feel stuck, that you feel foggy, and allow whatever rises to the top rise so that you can become aware of it and then release. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I've learned in my life there were very sacred practices and esoteric things I was very interested in. And when I tried a lot of different methods to process my own emotions and my thoughts and get in touch with my subconscious, and swim around in that world, I realized there's a lot of ways to do this. So for you out there walking around in your daily lives, perhaps you imagine if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling like everything's just stuck on pause or stuck going, you're going in the same circle every day. I've talked to like at least 3 or 4 clients this week that had the same issue. Just know it's very natural, and keep reminding yourself this is temporary. This is a temporary state. We will move faster again. Things will get flowing again. There's just a lot of things being worked out in the energy and the cosmos, and a lot of us who are ready to like push forth and grow, it's like, oh, we need to do this detoxification first. So I would suggest, in what ways can you entertain yourself and shift your attention to something more positive and something that delights you? There's no reason you have to suffer through it. When I do a ceremony similar to Sweat Lodge or any other kind of ceremony where I know I'm going to put myself in an uncomfortable position, I make sure that I've got a really good connection with my higher power and my spirit guides. So I know that I'm not going in alone, and that's very helpful. And when I allow that to be top of mind, it's really interesting how beautiful images come in, beautiful meaning comes in, even when things are difficult. And believe me, I've experienced my fair share of boredom and, kind of disillusion during this whole COVID-19 thing and just 2020 in general. And I've had to walk my talk. So for example, I decided to redo my home office. It had been on my mind to do it and paint different rooms in my house, and I put it off, being busier out in the world for the last couple of years. And I've really set the intention and started taking action on beautifying my space and letting go of old things. And I tell you, it's really shifted my energy. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is make sure if you're not getting out enough, or you're missing nature, or even nightlife, or going out to eat, or whatever it is, create times and kind of dates with yourself or your loved one or your partner. Walk to the restaurant to pick up your food, or eat on the patio, or however you're doing it. Some people are eating inside. That's fine too. Walk to the restaurant, make an event out of it. If you know that you can't go and have a full experience for a day or an evening, back it up. Bring forth some more old-fashioned ways of entertaining yourself. Read more. Watch more old movies that you used to like, 20 years ago. And get reminded of simpler times. So it's really important to be consciously aware of what you're doing. And if you're simply letting things happen at face value, if you think about going into a sweat lodge and you just sit there and sweat and feel awful, all you're going to do is respond to the awfulness and be like, oh, this is awful. I just want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. If you say, this is uncomfortable and I'm going to let it do what it's doing to my psyche, and in the meantime, I'm going to let it make me stronger. I'm going to respond with stillness. I'm going to respond with awareness. I'm going to notice what's leaving my body as the sweat trickles down my face. I'm going to notice what thoughts and feelings arise in me in this time of boredom and stillness. And I'm going to embrace them and allow them to change me, allow them to take me on a healing journey. And so when you do that with that higher vibration of joy and delight, even though it's uncomfortable, that's a really interesting place to be. And I feel it's a powerful place to be. So much is out of our control at this time. And if you know yourself as a control freak, a little bit, I got a little bit of that too. So I understand, no judgment. Just say, we don't know. We don't know when things are going to shift into something that we can accept easier. We don't know if this is a way of life we're going to have to keep going with for a very long time. But the key is to say, these kind of bigger questions are out of my control, but if I can control what's happening in my experience, always, always, always. I can control the filter with which I look at my experience. I can control the choices I make and the actions I take in my experience. And there you go. You get your control back, or your sense of control, because it's always an illusion, always. But, I get it. We're humans, and we like to feel like we have some sense of power and we're directing things in some way. So another thing to remember is information and media and things like that is getting less and less trustworthy. People are clinging for meaning and understanding. So, take it all with a grain of salt. I'd say take every single thing you hear with a grain of salt. Notice how fast it shifts and changes. Notice that, kind of the world's like a big kind of interesting circus or insane asylum right now when it comes to the meaning we're trying to make about things. You've got lots of different realities going on and lots of different people. And, for me, I go, that's cool. That's their reality. That's fine. Certainly when things bother me socially, or there's an issue there where I feel like, okay, humanity needs to, pay attention to this. I certainly do it on my own. I do my research. I vote. I use my money. I put my money where my opinion is. But fighting with others and trying to change minds through force will never work. So, and also making yourself feel wrong or accepting someone saying you're wrong just because they don't understand where you're coming from. Just acknowledge we all are living it through different filters. We're all living through different experiences. And, the majority always decides and the pendulum always swings. So I'll remind you that over and over again. And this is not just on the grand stage. This is in your own life. So if you're noticing some imbalance in your personal life, in your personal relationships, or within yourself, take it down, boom, boom, boom. all is connected. As above, so below, as within, so without. So however you're responding to life as it is now, or the sweat lodge of life as it is now, is what's going on inside of you. And when you can shift what's going on inside of you and the way you are experiencing those things, people start to shift around you. You can be with people of differing opinions and differing lifestyles and differing this and that. And you can say, you know what? None of us really knows anything. And that's one thing that's really hard for especially the smartest of us to accept, that we really don't know. We are living one moment at a time, one day at a time. Things are happening and things are falling away and releasing at rocket speed these days. So it's really a good thing to learn how to surf the waves of it all, and to stay in your balanced witness place so that you can get the most out of it. You can learn the most and you can get the most energetically out of whatever is happening at this moment. So the other thing that's happening at this time for many of us is the call to look within. And of course, like I said, to heal the world by healing ourselves and living by example. So whatever kind of world you want, and I guarantee most of us want a loving, just world where things are going well. And when I really look at people doing difficult things, trying to get control on a grand stage, even get a lot of money. Like, to them, sometimes it's selfish. You have your really ill people that are extremely narcissistic and selfish, and it's all about them. But you get most people who are good at heart, or have a core of connection, and they haven't completely lost their souls to their human needs and desires. Most people think what they are saying and doing is for the highest and best. They just want what's best, and from their perspective, that's what they're going to talk about. It doesn't always mean that it agrees with what you think is what is best. So again, when you want that loving world, when you want the highest and best for everyone, however that looks for you, I would suggest, instead of talking about it and trying to get people on your mental side, how about just being that love, being that beauty? Oh, I had a great quote out there today on Instagram. It said, what is it? A rose does not fight its enemies with words, it fights with beauty. Or it doesn't use beauty, it uses words, or something like that. It was beautiful. I should look it up so I get it right. But go check out my Instagram. It's beautiful. And it was written by a spiritual writer that I don't remember the last name right now. But it was really, really gorgeous. And it made me think, yeah, if you're just there being a high vibration being and making things a little bit easier for everyone who's fighting some kind of hard battle, there's a way of understanding and wisdom that comes from that. And again, acting when it makes sense, but when it's just kind of this fight of mental filters, choose your battles wisely. So we're hearing a call to spiritual maturity in this time of 2020. Those of us who've been on the path a while, maybe you're backsliding a little bit in the frustration of it all. And maybe you're also looking and very frustrated that there's really no wise elders in the world anymore. Maybe from tribal memory of past lifetimes, or just a sense that, hey, when people grow or they get into places of power, they should have a sense of responsibility and wisdom. And that's just not the case. It hasn't been the case in this lifetime for me, actually. I've often looked for, where's that wise old person in the cave that knows all the things? And I realized as I grew, that's not something that we have in this lifetime. We don't have that wisdom path the same way. So that's when I got the message from my own inner guidance that we have to create our own wisdom path, and we can get in touch with the sage and the wise person within us, and stop looking for it outside of us in our tribe somewhere, because it's really not there. We're all split up into all those different parts, and each of us has access to it if we want it. So it does not have to be that way. It doesn't have to be you walking around wishing that you could find someone, a leader or a wise person that you can follow. It can be about you becoming the wise elder that you seek. Because if you're connected to your spirituality, you've done the work, you feel called to help other people and facilitate and hold space, you can do that. Or you can just be that kind, wise person that walks around in your community that everyone knows they're safe with and they can trust, and that they can feel like themselves. They can drop their boundaries. They can, not boundaries so much, but they can drop their armor. That's a really, I don't know, for me, I like that place. I like that place. And that's what I strive to do with my spiritual coaching is I'm not a leader. I'm not necessarily even a teacher. I'm a facilitator. And I will share and allow you to be the wise person you are. And I will pump that up in you. And that's what I think really helps people, not asking them to blindly follow who you are and what you believe. So I didn't expect this conversation to go there, but it did. And maybe that's because Spirit's just speaking through me. And again, as I did last week, I want to share a channeled message that I checked in with my wisdom guides this week because they're so much more poetic than I am. And I really love the feeling of just relaxing and letting the message flow. So here we go. The strength that lies in surrender. And this is from my wisdom guides, The Silence, on the 10th of September, 2020. And I asked them in this meditation if they could expand on that idea of strength lying in surrender. When we give in to the moment, when we stop fighting, when we accept, when we look around and see where we are. I asked them to expand, and this is what they said. Fighting what is may produce an adrenaline rush, leading you to feel powerful for a few moments, but this is not sustainable. The burst of energy that comes forth when you are in resistance may give your ego a sense of power and control, but in the end it will deplete you. All things seek balance in the physical world, and if you expend too much energy for the short-term goal, you will inevitably be left feeling tired, weak, and impotent to your circumstance. We would ask you if anything is so important that you would give away your precious life force energy to have it, especially something so illusory as a sense of control. Human beings so desperately want to know it all. The sense one gets from knowing more than others, or at least knowing exactly what's happening, can give you again that short-term sense of power and control. But if you zoom out and become present to how that has served you in the past or not, you will see that it is always changing, the knowledge of what is. When you realize this, you have the choice to flow with the changing tides or continue fighting for that one moment in time or the handful of moments when you thought you knew the big picture. Many people spend their lives holding on to truths and realities that are long since gone into the past. They fight the changing tides of the world until their dying day. They recede and hide away in their own self-made earth realities. And while there is no judgment from us about this, we often wonder why so many would limit their consciousness in this way. There are so many possibilities available to every single soul on your planet. And yet as you age, you begin to limit what that means for you. You see, when you attempt to master life, mastery will always be beyond your grasp. Such is true of any art form, any creative endeavor. The artist does not become a master because they can control the materials into submission. They become a master because they understand how each material flows, what the tendency is of a watercolor or an oil paint, how fast the clay dries, or how to chip away at the stone in the right places. Each act of creation is a conversation, and when you demand that life become a one-way conversation, you are sure to fall into the trap of resistance, exhaustion, and ailment. On the other hand, when you allow life to be what it is, and as it speaks to you, you listen and respond, it's amazing the things you can create together. And it's amazing how well life responds back to you when you make a gentle request with open arms and mind. Think of life as your ally, a great being flowing through you and experiencing this earth plane through the complex of your mind, body, and spirit. You may also think of this life force energy as divine energy or God energy. We will always tell you to choose the words that work best for you because that is all they are, words, descriptors. It is the feeling and experience you have within your own realm of conscious awareness that makes it real or not. So, in closing, maybe we will tell you with a smile that the only thing worth knowing is that you will never really know it all. There is great strength in surrendering to that notion. And in the meantime, live in your joy and playfulness as a little child. You wonder why the world has become such a dark and confused place. We would say the thing that is missing most is the laughter, openness, and playfulness of little children, before the human-built world crowds heaven and earth out of the psyche. When you add that energy to the spiritually mature self, you have a recipe for great peace and wisdom on planet Earth. This is what we wish for you. This is what we are here to help you with. And while we speak through this voice as a channel today, you too have access to your own inner wisdom team. Ask for continued guidance on this subject, and you will receive it, one way or another. Be well. We send healing and love to each soul that receives this message with open arms and mind. That was a beautiful one. I love working with those guys and girls, whoever they are. Those beautiful angelic beings that I have the honor of walking with in this lifetime. And again, as they said, you too have access to the same type of wisdom if you really choose to nurture that connection and go within to find where the opening is for you. Where's the opening to let this kind of stuff in from the inside out into your life? And until you find it, and as you find it, I should say, I'm here for you. I'm here to help resonate with that space, with these words, and with these messages to keep you inspired, to keep you on track, to help you not lose faith, especially in these difficult times. So thank you so much for joining me for this mini episode of the Empowered Wisdom Hour. Again, this has been Molly McCartney. I'm a spiritual life coach and wisdom channel with over 20 years of experience. My mission is to help empower your wisdom and spiritual gifts so you can find peace no matter what you are dealing with. I invite you to take the next step with me by doing one of three things, if you're feeling it today. Number one, you can follow me at Empower Your Wisdom on Facebook and Instagram for daily inspiration and encouragement, and sometimes a little humor. Number two, if you enjoy this show and just love to listen to the show, don't want to go any further, I invite you to become a patron with a small donation. If you click the button on the Podbean homepage, you can donate today, and I appreciate every little bit. It helps me keep doing what I'm doing. And number three, if you'd love to speak with me privately and to see how I can support you in your own life on a private level, please sign up for a free discovery session on my website to learn how we can connect and how I can serve you. You can visit mollymccartney.com and sign up for that initial consultation. It should be somewhere on the homepage. And for now, I'm so grateful for your support, and I look forward to being of service to your spirit in any way I can. For now, may you be well and have a great week. The music for this show is from the album Tranquility by the Sea, courtesy of David James Nielsen and Bob Jr. Check it out at cdbaby.com.